Alright, it's Colin here. Today I'm going to be showing you how I took one of the comic strips from one of my old sketchbooks and I developed it to see what my comic might look like. Let's have a look. So I did this a few years ago. I was really happy with it as I felt that it told the story well. Since then, Teef Fur's expressions have evolved, so I decided, let's do it again. Start with a line work on the first panel. These mixtapes were a way of collecting and sharing music, either recorded at events or from the radio, and this was even more important for underground music, as a lot of the music wasn't broadcast through legal radio stations. The second frame is a car radio tape deck. I'm guessing a lot of people from the last 20 years don't really know what this is. Most of them look like iPads now. They had two knobs, a volume and a tuner for the radio, and a letterbox to bung the cassette tape in. Frame 3, we've got this speaker. I've gone for a big woofer to tell the story, but made it a little bit like a house speaker, which is kind of funny because if you had a house speaker in your car back in the day, you'd get laughed at. As always, I like to add a little graphic, usually a funny little name. So the tape is in, the speakers are banging, and we reveal our two characters, Teef Fur having it large in a car. The biggest issue I had with the sketchbook drawing was the faces on the dogs. Over time they've changed, little by little, and they needed a refresh. The two brothers are almost identical to draw, except one is shorter than the other, and they're different colours. I've been drawing these two for over a decade now, and I really love their personalities. I can imagine the moment the bass drops, boom, and the whole thing goes mad. Take away cups and chips flying about, absolute carnage. And then we zoom out to see it's just them, the only car in the supermarket car park, late at night. Here I use a car that I designed earlier as reference for this drawing. I changed the perspective a couple of times, decide on the best one, and sketch over the top. So I based this supermarket on the local Tesco's where we used to live back in Romford. I reference the 90s a lot in my art. It was my teenage years, and in many ways it was an exciting time for culture, music and film. The underground music scene in Britain at this time was absolutely huge. The evolution of dance music and rave culture was fast paced and constant. Illegal parties and radio was everywhere at the time. The government even tried to ban music with repetitive beats from being broadcast in public spaces, making this sort of thing illegal. I often used to stay up late recording pirate radio shows onto cassette. Pirate radio stations like Cool FM and Unity FM were quite local to where I was, especially Unity. Unity used to broadcast from a block of council flats just down the street from where I used to live. The radio stations only run from Friday through to Monday, so if you wanted to listen to your tunes during the week, the best way to do this was to record your shows during the weekend. I think one of the hardest parts about drawing this was colouring the car park at night, getting enough contrast on the image, making it look dark but so you could still see all the details. But I also like that the darkness really makes the lettering stand out. Creating the perspective of the parking grids was a bit of a challenge. I chose for the lads to park their car wonky, as it shows their lack of respect for rules, and I ain't gonna lie, it also made it easier for me to draw. Originally I decided to do this as an exploration of style, but I didn't change the proportions from the sketch. I feel there's still a few things that could be improved on. I've left out the panel borders. I was trying to be creative. I think it could have benefited from some borders here and there. And there's the big question of colour. I've rendered this in the same way that I do my Inktober's, which is a black ink wash, but I've considered adding an accent colour or two. Or do I go full colour? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Here's where I decide to change it to a comic book format. Because it's a one-off story, it should have a title. So I use the Teef Fur logo, give it a shuffle so it's horizontal, and then add a little something to it to tie it to the story. If you don't know how pencils and cassettes are linked, you best get googling. I create all my graphics and lettering in Adobe Illustrator. It's all in vector. It gives the lines a much cleaner edge. Then I'll import it into Procreate. Unfortunately I haven't recorded this bit. It does kind of mean things just appear in this video. If you want to see a video on that, let me know, and that might be something for the future. I add my little dog tag to the front of the car. I change this later on. For the smiley, I like the little snacks disc on the windscreen. It's a little joke for those of you who remember tax discs. And there we go, sample story done. If you want to know more about Teef Fur and the Tales of the Hood project, give the subscribe button a little tap and check out my other videos.